Something I've always found a tad strange is the fact that different hair colours have their own names. For example, we would describe the bark of a tree or a chocolate bar as being brown, yet when this colour is applied to hair, suddenly we call it brunette. Some of the words we use to describe hair colours we use exclusively with hair. Why is this the case, however? Well, we don't seem to be too sure. There's no definitive answer to this question that I could find out there on the World Wide Web, but I have my own theory on the matter. Colour names in general have a weird history. Words we now link with certain colours used to be attached to other colours. For example, blue comes from an old word for yellow, which is just bizarre, like blue and yellow are two completely different colours. But we've also got to mix this in with the fact that hair colours in the past weren't as diverse around the globe as they are now. Darker hairs were more common in Asia and Africa, while lighter hairs were found the more northern you went on our planet. This could have meant that we didn't really need specific names for hair colours, as there wasn't really that much hair colour diversity. Yet, when hair colours and languages started to intermix around the world, words had to be used to describe all these people with different hair colours intermixing with one another. So words from other languages were used specifically for these hair colours. All that's just my own theory on the matter from research I have done. Why don't we just look into where these hair colour names actually came from? As already mentioned, brunette is the term we use for hair that is brown, like this stuff I suppose. This word does simply come from a word for brown in a different language, with that language being Old French. In Old French we had the word of brunette. I'm going to say that with a silent T. My Old French isn't too great, I'm sure you can imagine, but T's at the end of French words tend to be silent, so let's go with brunette and see what happens. And this simply means brownish. What's interesting about this term is that it could not only relate to darker hair, but darker skin too. Though I don't think we really use the word in relation to skin much these days, I feel. Whatever the case, it seems that this term came to the English language and was adopted as a term for brown hair. What's also interesting is that because this name is from French, it is actually a gendered word, meaning technically brunette should only be used for women with brown hair. If you are a man with brown hair like myself, it should instead be brunette, that aforementioned Old French word. It's the same word, I didn't realise that I was reading out loud, that's fun. But this masculine form of the name isn't too popular in English these days. Like if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're whatever, people just tend to say brunette regardless of gender, because why not, eh? Next up, let's look into blonde. Blonde is commonly linked with the colour yellow, but in all honesty, most blonde hairs tend to be more creamy or even white or goldish in colour. People with blonde hair that is close to bright yellow are quite far and few between. Blonde, once again, it comes from Old French with their word of blond. I'm going to once again not pronounce that T because French doesn't like it when I pronounce the T at the end, and this word meant fair. This came from the Latin blondus, meaning yellow, so the word does ultimately link with the colour yellow. Another theory is that it comes from the Germanic blond, which means mixed, which created another word meaning to dye in relation to hair. It seems like blonde was once used as a catch-all term for different mixes of hair. What's interesting is that both brunette and blonde possibly come from Old French, perhaps with the Normans in 1066. Maybe they were more fashionable and cared more about hair colour or whatnot, especially when comparing their hair to the inhabitants of Britain at the time when they invaded it. But once again, that's just my own theory on the matter. Before we continue, I want to say a huge thank you to my most recent patrons. So a huge thank you to new patron Jose V Sky. Apologies about pronunciation there. I'm going to go with a Jose, but it might be Joseph V Sky, Joveski. Yeah, one of those ones. But anyway, Patreon is the best way to financially support Name Explain, and donating just $1 a month gets you ad-free videos, a chance to say what names get explained here on the channel, an exclusive monthly newsletter, and your name at the end of these videos. All of that can be found at patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below. Conversely, if you want to just make a one-time donation, you can leave a super thanks directly in the comments section of any of my videos here on YouTube. They help out tremendously too. Thank you. Anyway, ginger is one of the most unique hair colours out there, being a fiery red to light orange colour. Unlike the two we previously mentioned, ginger is a term we use elsewhere in language, noticeably with the root vegetable of ginger. And yes, I know it's not technically a vegetable, but you know what I mean. The word ginger actually comes from Sanskrit origins and means horned body. This is odd for a couple of reasons. First off, the veg of ginger doesn't have a particularly horny body, which is a term I never thought I'd have to see on YouTube, but here we are, I guess. And the colour of this veg is nothing like that of a red head of hair. Well, the etymology of this word and its use with the hair colour make a ton more sense when we know about the existence of red ginger. This is a different kind of plant / veg which does have a more horny body and is in fact red in colour like the hair. This etymology comes from this kind of ginger, not the more common kind we might all be more aware of here in the Western world. I'd love to know, maybe this kind of red ginger is more popular in other parts of the world. Let me know, like, when you think of the vegetable ginger, what kind comes to mind. I'd love to know. But anyway, and it's from this red ginger that it got attached to the hair colour too, obviously. I suppose I ought to mention auburn as a hair colour too. This is kind of like a mixture between ginger and brunette hair, and the word is a mixture of the two too. It is a compound of the Latin albus, meaning white, and the Middle English brun, meaning brown. So the word means whitish brown, which is fitting, and unlike the word ginger, auburn is more or less used exclusively in regards to hair colour. But if auburn is used in other instances of language, go let me know down in the comments. Another example of a weird hair colour name is blue. Now, blue, as we know the colour, isn't naturally occurring on people's heads, though many choose to dye their hair blue. In the past, however, blue was used to mean grey. Well, a specific shade of grey, anyway. I can kind of see this, I suppose. That shade of grey is light enough that in a way it does kind of look a little bit blue, I suppose. And today, while we don't use blue to describe people with grey hair, we still see it used referring to animals with this shade of hair colour. Many dogs and cats are referred to as being blue, when in reality they're more a shade of grey. And I guess we ought to mention the most reoccurring hair colour on our planet, black. Black hair doesn't actually get a unique name like brunette and blonde, though sometimes it is referred to as raven to reflect the dark feathers of that kind of bird. Black as a word comes from ancient roots, meaning things like to burn, perhaps in relation to how things that have been burnt tend to go black. And that's how hair colours got their names. Let me know about any other interesting hair colour names I might have missed out on. Also, please suggest some subject areas down below which we could cover in next Monday's 5 Names Explained video. Though, I actually did 6 names in this video. I think I'm going to try and change these Monday videos to be less formulaic and just be about whatever really. So go suggest anything down below. It can be literally anything and the subject area can be as niche or broad as you like. I will choose 3 of those subject areas and place them in a poll exclusively for my patrons to vote on. Then the winner from that poll will be the subject area covered in the next 5 Names Explained video. You can vote in that poll as well as enjoy many other great benefits by visiting patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below, and by donating just $1 a month. Thank you. Anyway, that's more than enough from myself. Don't forget to go follow on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT, and don't forget to go join the Facebook page Friends of Name Explain, where you can chat with myself and many other name nerds. Okay all, take care. Weren't as diverse as they are on the globe. Again. Africa, and lied to her came to the English language and was white goldish colour. People with blonde hair, that went weird. Oh, if I clap. This is why I wore this shirt, Amber, because we're talking about ginger, so I thought, I'll wear a red shirt, why not? An orange gingery coloured shirt, why not? To show my respect for the gingers out there watching. Ginger is one of the most unique, I know it's not technically a vegetable, I suppose we ought to mention urban? Won't come at the frog then. I suppose I ought to mention auburn. I can't say it. This is going awfully, Amber. Let's do this again. No, I'll do the whole thing again.